hands. Hadithi.
Okay. Thank you for that. Because I was wondering, I wanted to do it, but I'm like, what do I say again? No, when I'm done. Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much, guys. I'm very humbled to be here tonight. As she's already said, my name is Ntsako Mogatosi, and I'm a registered counselor by profession. Studied at Nelson Mandela University, Bachelor of Psychology in Counseling. Okay. Enough about about that. I didn't want to say much about myself because tonight it's not about me, but it's about everyone else who's here. And it's about the sensitive topic that we have embarked on. I was supposed to be somewhere else, but I told myself, you know what, mental health matters. And this is where I'm supposed to be. And thank you so much. Even though it was a short notice, I really appreciate it. So I did not prepare anything, guys, because I believe in speaking from the heart and from what we know, and speaking from experience and lived experiences. Because if you prepare something, you tend to speak from the book and you can't relate to the people. And people can also not relate because it's in the book written by Carl Rogers in America, but we're in South Africa. So we need to solve African or South African problems with African solutions. So with me, I want psychology to be Africanized. If decolonized is the word, we have to solve issues which we can relate to. For an example, I work with assessment, and I'd be told to do a CBT called Cognitive Behavioral Therapy in a session, and my black sisters and brothers, mothers and fathers don't understand what that is. How about we go and try to solve those problems with what they are used to in Islalini? What do they understand about schizophrenia? What is that? So let's start there, because now we're going to tell them, no, change your thinking. But when I sleep, I see things. So that's a story for another day. So I just want to say thank you so much to each and every person, each and every speaker who had the gut and the courage to stand in front of people and be on the spotlight and say, you know what, this is me and this is my story. And I am proud to share because this is who I am. And that's what I want as a mental health activist or a professional, that as youth, and I thank God because I qualified young so that I can relate to my youth and also speak to older people. So I want us guys to speak about these matters and speak from the heart and not be ashamed or feel that we're going to be judged about mental illness, because there's a lot of mental illnesses out there, but people cannot speak about it. Think about a story of a young girl from Islalini, coming from a very good family, a family of 5, and they're the last born, and their brothers and sisters are making it in life, and when it's their turn, they cannot do as the family has expected, or the parents. You spoke about your dad. Other parents who expect certain things or a norm that this is how you should go to varsity, go pass matric, do all this stuff, but you find this young girl or young man, they cannot do it because they're different. They find themselves in a corner, they don't know what's happening and no one is understanding it because that's not normal. And they tell their family members or friends that I'm not okay. This is how I feel. This is what I see. I'm depressed, or I have bipolar, or I have schizophrenia, or I have a personality disorder, so to say. And then they respond and say, you're crazy. In a society where how you feel, you are being labeled. In a society where how you can't control what your mind is going through or what's happening inside, because mental illness is a chemical imbalance. it's not something we can see, it's not something we can touch, but it's something that the person who's suffering from is feeling. And it's high time that as young people, or South Africa as a whole, we start normalizing these mental illnesses. For a person with cancer, when they have cancer, they will go to a doctor and will all say, so shame, sorry, what do you need? Do you need me to visit you? Do you need support? So cancer has become normal and we support the person. How about mental health? How about mental illness? If I have a mental illness, where do I go? Why is it easy to say I'm going to a doctor because I'm suffering from diabetes, because I have HIV and AIDS, I need antiretrovirals, but when I have mental illness, I'm called crazy? Why? It's so tough, guys, and we need to have these uncomfortable conversations because it's not easy to talk about how you're feeling. And sometimes I myself, because I have not gone through any mental illness or have not been diagnosed yet, I will not understand. I will not explain it better than the people who are in the situation. But mine is just to say, let's embrace them, let's support them. Let us be those people who can make a difference in our societies and say, if people are judging you, if people are saying you're crazy, I'm going to be that one person who's going to come to you and understand and ask you, are you okay? Because depression is smiling. Personality disorder is jovial. It's excited. It's out there dancing at Cubana. It's happiness. The face of depression is joy. And you just assume that a person is okay. How about we ask each other, are you doing well? What do you need? Do you need some help? Because mental illness is an illness that deserves to be treated like any other illness. And it's up to us to speak about these things. We live in a cruel world where rape and any other things that are happening in our society, and these things can cause or can trigger our mental illnesses, and we should be very, very, very courageous, and we should not be stigmatized or made feel like we are not enough or we are crazy or we're not supposed to. We need to talk about these things because it's what we're going through and it's what we need to change as society. I did not prepare anything, as I said, but mine is to say mental health matters. And we have feelings and we have emotions. We think differently, guys. We are different as we're sitting here, and we go through things differently. You might think I'm okay, but deep down, find that I'm not. So don't be that one person who's going to be a reason why someone else commits suicide. Because you stigmatize them, or you made them feel inadequate, or you made them feel like they're crazy, whereas they were struggling with a mental illness. I want us to normalize mental illness. It's not something that psychologists study, it's something that people go through. And we are the people, and when we encounter these things, we need help. And there's nothing wrong or nothing crazy about needing help. Just like a cancer person who would need help, struggling from cancer would need help, we also need the help and support. So how do we know that someone is going through a rough patch or they're in a dark place? I sat alone at home when she gave me that question, that please go and tell us, how do I know that I'm in a dark space? And I'm thinking, do we actually even know when you are in the dark place? My answer to that, speaking under correction, I'd say the person who's in the dark knows when they're in the dark. We can't know when the other person is in the dark or not unless they speak out, because as I told you, depression is smiling. Depression is happy, it's jovial, it's excited, it's optimistic, but they're dying inside slowly. So I had other speakers saying, check out on your friends. I was very moved by the kind of relationship these two women share. You spoke about your friend very nicely, and you said she checks up on you, and just sometimes you just say, no, I just wanted to check you, and she knows that if she's saying I'm okay, you need space. And that's the kind of relationships we need to keep. The company we keep. We need to be with people who will care about us. And you ask me, how do I know that this person care about me? And it's tough. I don't know if I would know that she would care about me one day. And those are the kind of questions we need to talk about in spaces like this. So guys, mental illness. My mother works in a psychiatric hospital back at home, and one of the reasons why I wanted to study psychology was growing up in that environment where my mom would come back and say, yo, today the person, she always corrected me. I would say, I'm Tonga, so I would say, Munulo wa penga, which means they are mentally disturbed. And she would say, no, angapengi. They are people as well. They have a mental condition. They are people like you and I, but they have a mental condition. So she conditioned me to see certain situations differently and not to label it. And that has led me into understanding that labeling can either break or make society. Because now I'm scared to come out and say, I have bipolar because I'll be labeled. Lanto mbine bipolar. No, that's not my name. That is just something I'm dealing with or experiencing. Someone came with a nice word, experiencing. It's an experience. It's not who I am. It's not my identity. And I can never be bipolar. And I can never be depression or bipolar 1 or 2. That can never be me. And I'm glad because once you separate the sickness from yourself, you are able to make it. And once you understand what you're going through, you are able to understand how to get out of it. Because each and every one of us here, we are not our situations. We are not what people say we are. But we are just experiencing it. We are experiencing something that is beyond our control. No one applies and goes and says, I want to have depression in my life, or I want to have bipolar 1 or 2. If that was the case, we would all go for a healthy mind or a healthy lifestyle. No one applies to have cancer. No one applies to have HIV or any other mental condition that people might have apart from the HIV and the cancer. No one applies. It happens. We experience it. No one knows if maybe we're growing up and God forbid we'll encounter or experience these mental illnesses along the way. No one knows, but God does. And we have to find a place or a space in which we understand that this is not who I am, but it is what I'm experiencing. And if it's an experience, it can be overcome. I'm told that some mental illnesses cannot be cured, but they can be treated. So that's what I like about it. It can be treated. And if you can treat something, then you can triumph in your life and you can make it in life. We are different, guys, and we have different mental challenges. I'm sure some of us couldn't have the courage to come here and stand in front of us and tell us, and that's okay. That's part of healing. It's part of healing. It's not a must to come and talk about it. We heal differently. And that brings me to my next point in terms of what do I now do when I am experiencing a certain mental condition. Get support. Speak about it. Talk about it. It's not who you are, it's what you're experiencing. Make awareness about it, because you never know. Another person might be going through the same thing, but they're scared to talk. Because what would people say? Abantu bazawuthini. It has killed a lot of people. Let's embrace our diversity. I didn't choose to be born Tonga. It so happened. You didn't choose to be Sotho, or someone didn't choose to be Xhosa. But because of our ancestors or generation, we found ourselves here. But what makes us common is we all human beings. And that's how we should also see mental illness. The fact that I have been diagnosed with something and does it make you much different from who I am or make you a better person? The fact that your drink have never been spiked and mine have doesn't make you a better person. The fact that I lost a parent and you didn't doesn't make you a different person from me. It's experiences. And we all go through experiences as long as we're human beings. So we need to hold each other as the human race, because we are here for a time being, guys. We are here for a time being. There will come a time where we are all no more. And that's life. But when we are still living on this earth, what are we doing to make it a better place? Especially with people with mental illness. What are we doing to make sure that they are also treated like you and I? And they're not treated differently as if there's something wrong with them. Because clearly there is nothing wrong. Take it from me, there's nothing wrong with them. I didn't study medicine, but I do know that when you have a mental illness, something in your brain is happening and there are imbalances that you cannot control. And that can be treated with medication and also through therapy. That's when we come in. So I would encourage, if you find yourself in that situation, seek help. And I'm glad that most of the speakers did say that they've seen a psychologist or a counselor, or they've done this and that, and that's a good step to take. Seek help irrespective of what people will say, because at the end of the day, everyone else is taken. You will be left alone and no one will be there to help you. So you better help yourself. Yes, we have friends, we have family, but they're human beings. Take care of yourself, and that is mental health. Guys, I'd rather be judged. You'd rather throw stones at me, but I'm in a place in my life where it doesn't matter what you think about me. You are not me. I'm in this body. I'm the one who's experiencing everything that happens, and I'm the one who's gonna come out of it or enjoy it if it's enjoyable. Because if now I'm gonna wait for another person to validate my feelings, my body, my mental illnesses, everything, I'll be gone. Most people drive us into suicide. They drive us into doing things we would never do in our right minds because they do not understand us. So take care of your own mental health. Check the company you keep, because as little as that can lead you to a healthy lifestyle or not. Check the friends. What are they saying? Words have power. Check each and everything that you do. Don't take it for granted, because that counts to your mental health. As much as we take care of our physical being, we go to the gym, we do this and that, we eat healthy, our mental state is equally important. It's like feeding a child. You see what you give to them. You just don't give them everything when they're still a newborn or 1 month. Also your body, you just don't take in each and everything that comes your way. You must see, guys, what is it that I need and what is it that I don't? Which is the company I need to keep, which is not to keep. And if I encounter things like mental illness, where do I go? Do I go to Livingston? Do I go to Dorangins? And it's okay. We live in a society where, and you guys are right, you go to a psychologist or a counselor, you'll be labeled, are you crazy? Are you mad? And those things becomes a joke, and we laugh about it in the room, and you're like, no man, and you feel left alone, you feel alienated, and you're like, maybe, perhaps I'm okay, let me not go. No, this is not it, it's a joke, whilst you die in your corner. Those people go home at night and sleep, but you don't. And those are the same people who will be the first people to write on your wall, rest in peace, we missed you, we love you, yo, depression is real. So guys, let us be mindful in our everyday life, and let's reach out to one another. I'm very, very happy about these gatherings, such gatherings that gives hope to the people who are suffering, who are experiencing mental illness. It starts here tonight. They are not suffering. We are not suffering, guys. It's not a suffer, if there's such a word. Like you are in their suffering. It's not a suffer. It's a mental condition which can be treated. And people better get used to it. That is just an experience, and I'll be treated just like any other person with diabetes. And it starts with us. We need to normalize it in our communities. We need to normalize it in our cities. Each and every space we find ourselves, be bold and say, excuse me, I'm not suffering from it, I'm experiencing it, and I'm gonna be treated, and I'm gonna be okay. It's high time we are not excluded from job interviews or applications because I have a mental condition. It should stop. Because you do not apply to be like that. Just like a disability. We all have to be included, and that's another conversation for another day, guys. But it starts with us to normalize this thing and say, you know what, Ntsako has a mental illness, but it doesn't mean that she cannot perform the duties of work should she be given the correct medication. And I cannot perform that because I don't have the correct medication, because you are stigmatizing me. I'm afraid to come out. My family will say I'm crazy. My friends will say I'm inadequate. That's why I'm in this situation. We must go back to the drawing board and understand why a certain person cannot be productive in spaces where each and every person can be productive, because we are all equal. Maybe because you don't have a mental illness and I do, you think makes you a different person. I hope employers could understand that it is just a mental experience that I'm going through. It is not a mental disability. The fact that I'm still standing and I can relate to people and I can share my story and I can say I have bipolar, I have schizophrenia, I have stress, anxiety disorder, shows that I'm a person, I'm a human being, and I'm willing to share what I'm going through and I understand it. The fact that you can talk about it shows that you need help and you are wanting people to understand that this is what I'm going through and it's not something that I can't handle. I'm handling it, that's why I'm talking about it. So please handle it with care as well. And do not label me. I can speak for the whole night, guys, but I think for the purpose of time, I think I will leave it here. But before I sit down, guys, I call myself, no one has given me an award or anything. I call myself a mental health activist before I'm a counselor or professional. So I'm an activist for mental health, not because I've been diagnosed, not because I will not be diagnosed, but because I understand that mental illness is something that should be talked about. Just as we talk about HIV, cancer, diabetes, we also need to talk about mental illness and not feel stigmatized when talking about it, because it's something a lot of people are going through. We read a lot on, it's tiring, guys. We read a lot on social media, in papers, the student committed suicide, they fell off, but we don't understand. We didn't reach out to the student, or they felt stigmatized. I wish we could raise them from the dead and ask them, why did you jump from the building? They will tell you, I felt like I had a mental illness, but I was scared to be stigmatized. So death was better than being named crazy. My name is Ntsako Mogatosi and I'm a registered counselor. Thank you so much for helping me.